Hey guys, so I know there's a lot of videos out there that talk about Captain Marvel and how she's kind of not a great character. It's pretty obvious. The last couple of years, Marvel has tried to push her as a main actor in the Marvel comic book universe, and now into the cinematic universe. But as I sit here and I draw two different versions of Carol Danvers when she was Miss Marvel and her current incarnation as Captain Marvel. I really just want to kind of say the one thing that made this character go from really awesome to really awesome, or really awful, I should say, is a three-letter word. It's lack of FUN, which is fun. See, when Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel, first of all, she spent most of her known comic book time really in a coma. She was a character that was kind of a throwaway character made for Rogue to have an origin story about superpowers. But when she was brought back, she was pretty cool. She wore the sexy outfit. She, was one of those idealistic, skinny waisted, big breasted superheroines who did a lot of cool action stuff. Was involved with a couple different teams, but she was fun. She was a fun character. She had a bit of a personality. She at times would crack some jokes. At times she was more serious, but the thing is, every time you saw her in the comic book, she was fun to look at. So that's changed. That's kind of what made her into this, fatally flawed character. Because now she kind of just preaches, is being used to be a symbol of kind of like women's empowerment and all kinds of different things. Sort of like this modern message, this modern Marvel, as they say. But I don't think that's what she was originally designed for. Originally, she was designed to be almost like a female version of Superman. Marvel's female Superman. And again, it was kind of a fun character. But now, it's kind of interesting because I like drawing the original Miss Marvel. I think it's a cool costume. I think it's, like a swimsuit with a neat mask, long blonde hair, always fun to draw. I struggle drawing the modern Captain Marvel because it's like the way they portray her, she has like no, how should I say this without being too offensive? She has no boobies. And so the way they portray her is the art can be really bad and cartoonish and make it look flat, like flat chested, which is okay. But when you try and do something more like in the style, like for me, I emulate a guy named Adam Kubert. He was a very influential artist over my style. But when I do it with somebody who's just completely flat chested, I like don't know what to do because like I'm like, okay, it's a skin tight costume. I want her to look like a female because if I draw her without anything, she just looks completely mannish. So I just kind of do the shading around the outside of where her anatomical mammaries is supposed to be. But other than that, I don't know what I can do to make it look interesting. So I drew this out as sketches. I'll just kind of do some inks over it now. But um, sometimes when you ink over stuff, and I'm not the greatest inker, I'm not the greatest artist, but I have some level of talent, right? Is you kind of make the choice between going completely filled in like a dark shadow, kind of like in this area to make a definition, and then doing cross hatching like I did over here, which is just you just kind of do that as a gradients of shade. But I kind of struggle with this because I think it looks kind of like crap when I just leave it shaded out like that. But at the same time, if I fill it in, it doesn't make sense to have this much. I could grab the wrong one. Let me get a thicker. Yeah, we'll go with this, the 1.0. A thicker, when you have a darker shadow, because then it's implying that there's, more depth than there is. So let's see how this looks. So yeah, I guess that's okay. So we're gonna go with just a solid line around the outside. But now here's the problem. As I make this into a big line, now it's making her look like she's got, much bigger breasts than I think the character currently has. So, which might not be a bad thing, but I don't think it fits properly. But that is what it is. It's one of those struggles, and that's just one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, I don't know what the direction is going to be, but you can't push a character who's not fun. There's a lot of characters who are brooding. There's a lot of characters who are, can give messages. Everybody remembers the old G.I. Joe cartoons where there was always a message, a lesson learned. But it was still fun. The problem is when you start having characters who give these long, drawn-out speeches, or they want to use this person as a symbol for something else, for some sort of social cause, you can still do it. But if nobody's enjoying it, then it's very hard to sustain that character. It's extremely difficult to have people want to read the books at that point. Even if you agree with everything she does, if a character's not fun, people don't come back. That's like the key, right? The key thing to anything, if you want people to return, have a good time, It's like you can have a really intelligent, smart friend, but if they just aren't fun to be around, you find yourself spending less and less time around them. Whereas you can have a complete dumbass as a buddy, but if they're having a good time and you find yourself having a good time around them, guess what? You keep doing it. You keep hanging out with them because they're fun. They're fun to be around. So it's like, this is something that's so basic, but it's like somehow this huge company, Marvel, has forgotten about. Comics are supposed to be fun. You shouldn't care about politics. You shouldn't care about body types. You shouldn't care about any of that crap. You should just listen, read, and look at a comic book in a way that's a good time, Anyhow, that's all it is. I kind of struggle drawing her because, so she's got like this mannish haircut. Now she's got a mannish face and she's musculature. So it doesn't, in a way, as you think about it, like people have said this is unrealistic, but this is actually kind of like unrealistic in a way because if you walk around real life, let's say you're out in, I don't know, Los Angeles, California, you're probably going to run into a lot more women who would look like this with like fake breasts and curves than you will like these in the straight community. Anyhow, like a muscular, mannish looking woman like this. So I don't know. It's just kind of a strange thing. Anyhow, just my thoughts on Captain Marvel.